Hello,
Hey,
it's us. We are live and we've got a new setup here.
we do. We've been upgraded. A little bit like our topic today.
So what is the name of our topic then?
Well, first of all, welcome to Doing Life with Sam and Kiri. Thanks for joining us on your Thursday afternoon, your lunch break special.
It's us.
Feels like we're a radio station. But yeah, we're excited to be here and we got a bit of a new setup here. We're taking it a bit pro-fish, guys.
We are, but our title today is called You Deserve More.
Yes.
Getting upgraded. You are entitled to greatness in this life. And we just want to touch on a few key points, a few stories, and ultimately get you to a place where, you know what, you start to be empowered to elevate your thinking and what you deserve.
Hard out. Yeah, we were having a good chat about this, and I think quite often in our lives we tend to settle. Like it's fair to say that often we settle or we'll justify why, no, we're grateful, it's all good, I'm all good, I've got everything I need. And hey, we're always grateful for where we are and what we have.
Gratitude always.
But I'm going to share a little story with you, So Sam and I went away and booked a night away at a hotel. And, I'm that guy, honey?
Yeah. I've just learned to put my bags down and just look at you and go, okay, what are we doing?
Before he gets settled, he'll see the look on my face and whether I'm like, yes,
So that's
I
when
like this room.
we first walk in the room, it's like, I'm looking at the room, I look at her like, am I unpacking my bags or what's going on? It's almost like every time now, eh?
Yes. Well, anyway, so when we went to check in, I said, could we get a room with a view? Like a lagoon view. And the lady's like, yes, sure. So we rock up to the room, open the door. First thing I do is go check the lagoon view. And I'm like, this is a bit more of the corner of the pond view. So I said to him, oh, nah, sorry. I'm going to ring and see if we can get a different room, eh? And you're like, okay, sit down on his seat. And then he's like, all right, well, don't put anything down because if we're going to change rooms. So, I ring up and ring the lady and go, hello, I was just wanting to see, is there a better room with a better view? And she said, yes, sure, come back to reception and I can sort you out. So we go back and she's like, oh, sorry. I said, oh, no, that's okay. I just thought, maybe a bit more of the lagoon view. And sure, yep, she goes, look, sorry, the rooms weren't available when you asked, but there are some now, but I'll actually upgrade you for the hassle. So I'm like, oh, thank you. Then we walk into the second room, and it's much bigger, much nicer. It's got a deck, it's got an amazing view. And the first thing I do is I look to you and I'm like, you're welcome, because I know I deserve better. And we have a bit of a laugh about that, eh?
But the thing was, we just, remember when we took the kids and we went up to that room and we're like, this is cool. And I could see the look on her face again and I was like, oh, and then the kids had already unpacked food and I think they'd gone to the toilet, smashed the toilet, one chucked things all over, the towels had been used, and I was like, oh, we can't, but long story short, we were upgraded to another room.
Yeah, well, anyway, so I do the same thing, like it's an ocean view, eh? And I'm like, it's not quite what I pictured. So I asked the guy, is there a better view and a better room? And he's like, yeah, sure. He comes up, brings the key, and he takes me to check out the room first, which I'm like, perfect, this is the one. The kids are like, Mum, it's fine. And sure enough, we go in and they all go, wow, this room's amazing. So I have a giggle about that.
Well, there's a few good points to draw from that. The first one is obviously the topic, you deserve more. And the second one is you don't have to just take what you're served up. So we can discuss some of that.
Yeah.
And look, in fact, I preached a word that was quite on par with that, is that when you're a son, you go into the house, open the fridge, and you just, feast on things and have the best of it.
Help yourself.
Whereas a servant or someone that is not a son has to kind of just take the back seat and sort of take what they're given. So I think
ask for permission.
Yeah, permission. So it all ties into the fact that where are you in life? Are you going for better? Do you deserve more? I'll answer that for you. Yes, you do. And the next thing is, have you just settled and just is life serving you up, or are you taking control and dishing it out to life? And so that's
and I
good.
sort of looked at that little hotel situation as like I likened it to life. And I said, that's what I said to Sam. I said, people do that with life. They just settle. They'll sit there. So I could have sat in that hotel room and said, nah, like in my heart, I'm like, oh, it's not what I pictured. I wanted better. I wanted a better view. I thought it was going to look nicer. But I could have told myself like, nah, it's okay. And, oh, it's quite nice. And justified, like, tried to convince myself that it was enough.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I can't do that. No.
Because the room, the second room was like way better. Like you could actually see the pool. You weren't like looking around the wall to see the pool. So I was like, yeah, it's okay. I said, but if you want to go for another room, then maybe we should do that.
Yeah. But that's how I think in life, eh? Like people will tend to settle in life. They'll justify why it's enough, why it's okay. And I think there's a little a bit of a problem in a sense that people feel guilty or feel bad for not for wanting more, eh? I think sometimes people feel bad for wanting more. They feel like they're ungrateful. I'm ungrateful, or I'm not showing gratitude.
But aren't we taught that as kids?
True.
Be grateful.
Don't
do this,
be greedy.
do that. Yeah. You're selfish. Okay, well.
True.
And it can sometimes get worked out of the kid. But there's a bratty kid that needs, to be, shaped and put in line.
Yeah, there's that fine line.
But you got to keep the wild sort of dreaming belief for more in a kid too.
Yeah. Well, you put a kid in a toy shop, right, who has no restrictions or no sense of like, what's the budget? They're going to go straight for the biggest toy. They're going to find the most expensive. Generally they want the big thing. They want something that's that's amazing. I want that. But we do, unfortunately, and maybe as kids, it happened to us, and maybe even as parents, we can sometimes, without realizing, put that on our kids, where they'll go for something, and you're like, no, put that back. That's too expensive. Yeah. So straight away, they start to condition their thinking and think, oh, I want that. Oh, but it's too expensive, so I won't ask mum and dad. I'll just go for the smaller thing.
And even as adults, we can, it's false humility. We're like, oh, we're just going to be humble and thankful and grateful. And sometimes that can be a mask for hiding the fact that you might be failing in an area, you're not trying better in it, or you don't actually believe that you deserve more.
Exactly.
And so today we want you to be healed from that. We want you to be elevated into a new level of belief that you deserve not just more, you deserve the best.
The best.
And so if our Father is an elaborate God who, you look at the sky, you look at the ocean, you look at the stars at night, you look at the landscape of this earth, it's very well put together. God wants us to have dominion. His word actually says, rule, reign, have dominion over the earth and, the fish and the birds and everything. Yeah. And so that's what we want to have.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that mindset of like, just be grateful and, don't try and, go for big. What that does is it gets us stuck in average. It gets us stuck in just being content. The word just be content. Just settle for what you have and be grateful for that. But for me, like there should always be something pushing you for more. I think that it's almost like a nature within us that desires more, wants more, but then the conditions around us or the way that we've been raised or the mindsets that we have tend to make us say, nah, just shush and be grateful for what you have and stop trying to upgrade everything. Stop trying. And I know, like I totally get it and it's so right. Like don't try and keep up with the Joneses. Like we all know that saying 100%, but it doesn't mean stop dreaming like the Joneses and stop dreaming that you can have a life like the Joneses, exactly. Like stop keeping up with them in terms of putting yourself into financial strife just to have the latest whatever. 100% totally agree with that. But at the same time, you don't want that mindset to creep in where it kind of slips a little bit into poverty thinking, like but that's just materialistic and trying to justify why you don't have some things.
I think the mindset should be you've never arrived, like you can get complacent, like just because I own my own home now, or I've got to this point, or we're living, God's provided our needs and all that. But there's a level of abundance and blessing that God talks about in his word where Abraham and their flocks multiplied and this and that. And sometimes it can even be a churchy religious mindset where we think that striving for greater and more is not a righteous thing.
Yeah.
But we don't realize that blessing actually comes with all those things. And so don't get complacent. Look, for your family and your children, your wife, your husband's sake, never have a little small mindset that doesn't think bigger, because by default you can be relaying that to them and actually cutting them off from the mindset, but more importantly the blessing that they deserve as well.
Hard out. And I think that's in our God nature, to go for bigger.
Yeah.
It's where you look in Genesis where God speaks to Abraham and he tells him, go out, look up at the stars.
Yeah.
When I think about look up at the stars, to me that's like, go look up at the impossible. Go look up at something that's too hard to reach. Go look up at and look at what your future could be, because I believe that obviously that God nature and that God vision is what helps to elevate our vision and our dreams for the future. And I believe it is in our nature to have that. And sayings like, oh, don't be materialistic, like I've always sort of thought about that word materialistic, and people think, oh, I'm not materialistic. I don't need to have the fancy car, the fancy house, the designer this, the designer that. Like, yeah, 100% I agree with you. Like, my life would still be fulfilled without a nice car, without a nice house, without a nice designer bag, whatever. But for me, I'm like, that materialistic is a little bit of like, sometimes people throw that and it's a little bit of a poverty talk.
Even just a practical approach to that is like, if someone has to drive the nice car, may
Why
as well
not
be you.
be me?
Someone has to wear that nice jacket, why not you?
Exactly.
Someone has to have blimmin' heaps of money, why not you? And I think, it's just I suppose it's just a positioning where sackcloth and ash, but it might not be that to that degree, but even just at where you're at. And obviously it's not a striving and a pushing and it becomes your priority to have that.
Yeah.
But it's opening your mind up to that, you know what, Lord, if you want to bless me with it, I'll receive it. And I think that there is it's a whole other positioning.
And I think, like when we think about go for more, or you deserve more, I also think about like, what do you want? What do you want? Hey, like, you got to ask yourself the question sometimes, what do you want your life to look like? What do you want your future to look like? And don't be afraid. Like, too often we're so afraid to put our big vision out there and our big goal out there, or our big, desires out there, because people will often slam it down. So if you have a picture of a Lamborghini on your vision board and everyone's like, oh, settle down, like, come on now. Who wants to waste that kind of money on a car? Or, you have a big vision and a big goal. People tend to want to cut it down to size, which is something that they're more comfortable with themselves. So, I love big vision. I love dreaming big and all that. And speaking of big vision and luxury and all that, that's a very nice...
elaborate ring.
Diamond ring you've got on your finger there, Samuel?
It is, and it's worth several thousands of dollars. And the thing with it is that there's a story behind it. I've always liked the big rings.
You have.
And I always thought, even as a young man, I thought, you know what, as soon as I can, I'm going to get a big ring. I don't know if it was based around, I like basketball and in the American sport, how they have championship rings.
Yeah, true.
So I was always like, so what I started to see is, American preachers and bishops and that, they are pretty blessed men, and a lot of them, to be honest, people, there's a lot of stigma around it, but a lot of them are sharp with business and investment. And
you did always have a bit of a fascination with rings. I can remember you used to be like, oh, look at this ring, and I'd be like, oh, yeah.
Even watches too, but rings, like something about that. So one day we're a man called Bishop Eddie Long, passed away now, mighty man, big part of the Destiny movement, and with Bishop and that, he came and preached. Was it the first time or? And
2003. Three. 2003.
Yeah, and so we after the service we all up and had dinner at the top, and then I think there was a moment where it was just me and my wife, and Bishop Long and Mrs. Long sitting in the lounge, and
the siblings, I think. The sibs.
Oh no! At this point, everyone had disappeared, so it was just us. And you got to remember too, like, you're very reverenced sort of man, and like quite like everyone was
You're sitting in the lounge, super orcs.
like fussing around this big bishop and preacher who's come from America and just delivered this mighty word, and church of 20,000, and like we've been to his spot in Atlanta, New Birth, and it's amazing. Like it's like driving into a little suburb, more than just a church. But anyway, I was just sitting there, and I don't know, I kind of look back and go, gee, did I do that? Like, I was like, oh, hey, Bishop, can I have a look at your ring?
Yeah.
And he went
and the rest of us are like,
So it was just me and my wife, and even his wife looked like, gee, that's a bit rude. And he goes, oh, okay. And he went to pull off, no disrespect, but the fish, like, I am a Christian, the fish. He had one of those rings too.
I am a Christian fish.
And he went to pull that off, and I was like, no, the Kingdom Dominion ring. Like, I didn't say that, but I said, oh, no, the other ring.
Yeah.
And so he went to...
Hold on. So first of all, most of us, if we were to do something cheeky like that, like, can I have a look at your ring? And they would have grabbed the wrong one. Most of us would be like, this is super orcs. Oh,
okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I really want the other one. But
Yeah, and I'd only
you
be
said
like...
not that one.
21 or something.
Yeah.
Didn't even have our kids, Rome's and that, 21. So, and yeah, he was obliging and pulled it off. And this very ring here, he pulled off.
And you tried it
on?
on?
And I tried it on. I put it on like this, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. It's amazing. And I looked at it and gave it back. Little did he know that I was using the authority and the favour of the Lord to
attract what I desired in my heart now.
And to haunt him. And so he's full-fledged preaching one on the
next morning.
The next morning. And then he's preaching and doing his thing, and then he's like, Samuel. And I'm like, mean he's going to preach about the prophet Samuel, Samuel. And then he looked at me and he said, come up here. And I was like, whoa, what the heck? So I went up on the stage, and then I think I said to you, come up.
Yeah, and I was like, no, he didn't say my name, he said yours.
Yeah. Rise up with me.
Yeah. But then he did end up saying, hey,
Yeah.
and your wife.
And your
I'm like,
wife. Yeah. So he went up, and he said, the Lord was, wouldn't leave me alone. I have to give you this ring. And I was like, whoa.
Well, most people be like, no, I can't take that. Samuel goes, yes.
Yeah, I think I put it on like I'd won the NBA championship, and I was like, I don't know, yeah. But that is basically the story. So that's how this ring became mine, and I've had it since then. And it's something that I'll hold on to and be part of my family. And, my son can thank me for such a bold move. But yeah, just a little story there.
Yeah. No, that's good. I think it's good.
Out of it one?
It is an out of it one, but I think, it's sort of breaking. What I like about that story is it's kind of like what you're supposed to do or not supposed to do. Like it kind of defies like, you're not supposed to do that. That's rude, or you shouldn't ask somebody for that, or whatever. But that's sort of define that. And I love like our bishop.
And by the way, I didn't ask for it as such, did I?
No, you didn't ask for it. You asked for a look at it. Like, you just said, can I have a look at your ring? And you put on like, me.
Yeah. It's not up to me if the
no,
Holy Spirit wants
for
it.
Yeah. Definitely didn't ask for it.
The
and then, but hold on. Then didn't his wife say, when he said, I've got to give, God told me, or, God told me I've got to give this ring to Samuel? And his wife's like, are you sure?
Let's be honest, he went back to his case of 30 rings and just grabbed another one.
Come on.
No.
But still, it's a very valuable ring. And so, hey, even his wife, because if my husband was like, honey, God told me to give this to that little fella over there. We're like, hell no. Nah. But obviously it was a God thing. But yeah, I love, like, Bishop always speaks about cheeky faith too. Like just having that cheeky faith and believing for big or asking for things that seems almost impossible. So that's what I love about going for big. Like you always did. Like I remember the first time you saw a big ring on somebody, you were like, that's mean ring. And I was like, that is a pretty mean ring.
I think that the scripture of God will give you the desires of your heart, sort of the power and desire that I had must have just ripped them.
The law of attraction.
Just hit him so hard.
Faith called it out.
But in saying that too was a somewhat of a uplifting of purpose and
just a God move.
Elevation of belief too of what God can do, not about the ring, but in one's life. So certain steps can open things up bigger.
Yeah, that's good.
Cool.
But hey, I love that. Like, I love that faith or that belief for more, and even that desire, obviously, to one day, I'd love to have that. It's not a materialistic thing. It's not about, like you said, the ring. It's not about a house or a car. But like, if you desire something, like, why not go for it? Why not? That's what we always say. We're like, hey, if they're driving it, why not me?
May as well be
if
Maddie.
it's gonna be someone, why not me?
May as well be the bro. Like, I want to see my brothers and sisters so prosper
Hard out.
that it's, like I said, it's nerve-wracking to them. Like, oh, heck, I've got too much blessing. Like,
Yeah.
I want to see that because we've seen a lot of our peers with so much poverty that it's been embarrassing.
Or just getting by, eh?
I'd rather than be embarrassed for the elaborate blessing than embarrassed for, we can't afford to come out for dinner. We can't afford to pay our rent. Like,
True.
come on now.
True.
To me, that's a reproach. That's why it burns in me.
Yeah, I love that. And you know what? What I love about not settling, and quite often I feel like people will downgrade their dreams or they downgrade their vision. Sometimes, yes, it's for worthiness, not feeling like they're worthy, but I think also sometimes it can be an excuse not to do the hard thing. So, like when sometimes people have a big goal or a big vision, they can downgrade and be like, oh, nah, and just justify why having what you have is good enough. So, like, even for me, I could have been too afraid to talk to the lady at the reception. I could have been too afraid to ask for better. I could have been too afraid of the rejection of her saying, like, no, that's all you can have. I could have been afraid of what I'm going to look like to her, but I'd rather put myself out there and say, can I have a better room, please? And get told, yes or no, but at least I know I asked. And so I think often it can be excuses, like, oh, nah, I'm just grateful for what I have. I don't need that. Oh, nah, it's not about money. Oh, nah, I don't need that. Or, oh, nah, I'm just focusing on this at the moment can often be a little bit of an excuse. So it's a good challenge, like even for us as we discuss it, it's a good challenge in your life and areas that you can have more or do better in or have bigger in. Like, ask yourself, am I hesitating to go there for a valid reason, or am I finding an excuse to take the easy road?
The other thing too is the easy road, but also the identity of what you see yourself as. Like deserving, worthy, self-consciousness around it. Because if you believe God has blessed you and He wants you to prosper and have, life more abundantly, then you start to think that life is going to attract to me blessing.
Yeah.
But if you're always like putting off this, I don't deserve it. It's hard to make money. I'm not favoured. He or she's favoured. If you're always projecting negative, what the world terms as energy, but it's actually
it's
faith.
like a law. It's the law,
It's
right?
a seed and it's faith. But my wife's been a classic, even with her business. Like, there's different ranks. She didn't go, I'll go for rank 2. It was like, I'm going to the top. And then it's going further. So it's something that you either name and claim and go for it all in, or you kind of just dull down your positioning. So today, I suppose a confronting question we could ask is, what is my self-reflection on this topic? Is there something in me that really puts out, I don't deserve it, or insecurities about things that you're not favoured by God? Like, can you look in the mirror and say, I'm favoured by God? God's going to bring me abundance and blessing. I'm not afraid to shine for Him.
Yes.
Because we're not
so
called
good.
to be a dim light under the bush.
So good.
We're actually called to be a city on a hill, set high on the hill, and a light that shines and salt of the earth, and to really proclaim God's glory, that people will go, gee, there's something about Him. What is it? And then we just say it's the Lord Jesus, to be honest, for us
so
anyway.
good.
So a bit of self-reflection.
Good. I love that. And when I think about that, like, often we have to ask ourselves what we're afraid of. Like Samuel said, first of all, worthiness, knowing that we are worthy, and obviously, like, God is the creator of all things, and so being heirs to the kingdom, being children of the Most High God, like, we deserve the best, and stop feeling like we don't deserve that best. But the other thing is, I think about, what are you afraid of? Like, are we afraid to fail? And if we're afraid to fail, like often I like this, they say it's not that we're afraid to fail or afraid to fall, we're afraid to do it in front of other people, eh? Like, so say like you're walking in your house and you slip over and you fall down the stairs, like you're like, oh damn, you get back up and carry on. But if you fall down the stairs and someone sees you, you're embarrassed because somebody's seen it happen. So often is it afraid of failure? Is it afraid to shine? Like what you said, often people are so afraid to stand out. And yes, when you stand out, when you go against the grain, you can be ridiculed. You often will be ridiculed because you actually highlight in people's lives what they're lacking or what they're missing or what they won't step up to. So it tends to be a challenge to people. So then they're like, oh, who do you think you are? Just calm down, settle down, but the reality is it's actually challenging them to be like, gee, I need to step my game up. So, I think about Joseph, when Joseph was given that coloured coat of favour from his father, he wore it proudly. And he was definitely hated for it, in fact, to the point where his brothers were going to kill him and they sold him. And, which is cold as, it's like they pretty much hated him because he wasn't afraid to shine and he wasn't afraid to show his favour. And so I think about, like Samuel said, like when on a side of my business, I had to step into a position where I put myself out there to be ridiculed, where I put myself out there to fail, where I put myself out there to be terrible at something before I could ever be good at it. And usually
putting yourself out there.
Yeah, but if you have the bigger vision and the bigger goal and you see why you're doing it and you're pushing for more and you're striving for more and you're going for more and you believe deep down inside, like, I deserve that. Like, I see that person living that life. That's amazing. I deserve that life.
Basically, your belief has to drive you more than your fear.
Yeah.
So if you believe in something more than you are afraid of what people think or what's going to happen. And the other thing I like is you got to take a risk. And it's always a risk. Like Method Man, this is a saying he says is scared money don't make money. And they can actually apply that to life. Like a scared gospel don't save souls, or a scared approach to a business idea doesn't get the business started, or a scared approach to asking out what you might see as the lady of your dreams and a beautiful kingdom woman is not going to get that relationship. So whatever it is or wherever it is, you have to go, at some point I'm going to feel uncomfortable, but
do it anyway.
Risk equals reward or rejection. But you have to learn how to live with rejection as well, because Joseph, even though he was rejected and even like scorned at, like, are we going to bow down to you? He continued on. And that's what I love about Joseph, is he didn't allow the negative responses, because hey, let's be honest, there is negative responses, to stop him from still pressing forward in his beliefs as well.
That's so good with Joseph. And one thing I think about is, like, he went through hell because of his dream, to be honest, because he put his dream out there. He went through hell. He was sold. His brothers hated him, considered killing him. That would probably be enough for most people to quit their dream. Hey, oh man, look, this dream has brought me so much hell. Look at what it's done. Look at what it's torn my family apart. It's ruined my life. I'm out. But he didn't. He persevered because he saw the vision so clearly.
It's possible that people are watching today and they've given up. Mum and dad, brothers and sisters, friends, failed business, failed attempts. It's possible that you've given up on your dream and you've sat down and just settled, but today there might be something sparking in you that it's time now to stand up again and go for something. I say it to my mates, I don't want to say it here, but it's on the line, in order to see it come to pass. And you fall in that, what that could be.
Put your stuff on the line.
Put it on the line. No guts, no glory, you know.
True.
Yeah.
True. And you know what? You look at anyone who in history who has done great things, they've had to put stuff on the line. They've been hated. They've been pulled down, but they didn't. They just believed in the vision so much they kept going. And you know what? That's a reality for you. Not that we go looking for it. We don't go out there trying to look for trouble and trying to look for haters. But the reality is when you do elevate to a whole new level, it does make people feel uncomfortable because you remind them of what they're not doing, and maybe you're reminding them of the dream that they quit on and they quit pursuing. So continue to push through, keep going for it. And one of my favorite sayings when it comes to dreams and visions is having God-sized dreams. Like, think how God thinks, and the magnitude of his vision and everything he is huge. So go for those big goals. Climb that, it's a big climb. Everything big is often uphill. It's going to take the hard road. You're going to have to be willing to do that, but the rewards are so worth it. You know what I mean?
In 12 months, you can dramatically transform your life.
100%.
Even less. You can go from having average income to just exploding. You can go from being out of shape and not healthy and out of breath to fit, to strong, and to in shape. You can go from not having, just living in the middle of the road job and owning your own business, and the list goes on. Your marriage can go from drab and just mundane to being exciting and adventurous. If you decide, that's the beauty of this life, is we have the choice as individuals to rock. And
100%.
I don't know about them, honey, but we're gonna rock this life.
Let's rock this life.
Join us, man. Join us on this adventure.
And stop feeling guilty for living your best life. Like, live it to the fullest.
Yeah.
Have fun. Enjoy it.
Don't
be
apologize.
proud. Yeah.
Don't apologize.
Don't be apologetic. Like, have the time of your life. Be proud of what you achieve. Find people who have fruit in their life. If there's something you desire, or like if it's your marriage, like be around people who have that positive marriage, who have that successful business. Like, always follow people with fruit. Make sure that they have the life that you want before you take the advice that they want to give you. So yeah, upgrade your life and live your best life. There was something I was going to say.
I know, I can.
Be what I want to be.
Oh.
And if I work hard at it,
I'll be where I want to be.
I know I can.
I know I can.
Oh my gosh, we're cheesy.
Yeah.
Our kids will be like, no.
I'm going to start rapping in a minute.
Go, baby. Go.
Shall I?
Go.
Yo, listen up. This world's corrupt, so stop sinning. Let me begin it. The surf's been sick for too long. I woke in the morning and still the same song. I want to be building the kingdom of Jesus with militant soldiers strong. And when it's on, the pain we felt after so long will perish to the ground. We laying them burdens down. Come get saved, or them diminishing souls in this lost world, or demons hurt. I break it down for 'em, son. I hunt like a sniper, destroy all them church wrecking viper, to bring back the one and only Jesus Christ typer. Church, and I'll be rid of the curse, cause I'm bringing the heaven and earth, and that's all the words that I remember, so I'm just gonna stop right there now. The thing with this, it distracts me. I want to start rapping, and I want to be a DJ.
That was not planned, guys. That was off the cuff.
But you can.
You can.
You can.
I can.
You had one more point there, and then I think, how long have we been on here?
It doesn't matter.
We've been here for some time, I thought.
Oh, yeah. This is it. Don't downgrade your goals, your dreams, your vision based on what you see with your eyes. Often, what we see with our eyes can be the thing that stops us. We have to see with bigger vision. Like I said right at the beginning with Abraham, God said, look up at the stars, look up at the impossible, look up at the too far out of reach, look up at that. That's what God wants us to do, is elevate our vision, elevate our dreams, and then do everything we can with our abilities, and he'll add his extra. He'll add the supernatural. But faith is huge. For me, faith is huge. Having that vision, believing for it, going for it is all part. And God loves that stuff. He loves that stuff. He loves big faith. He loves you going for big. He loves you having that assuredness of who you are and believing that, yes, I got this. Because that's what he tells us. He speaks that into our lives all the time. He pours that belief and that vision into us. So when we believe him, that's the greatest compliment we can do, is actually step into everything he's told us we are.
And let your faith guide you and drive you more than your fear.
Yes.
But even if your fear has to drive you, let that drive you. So whatever it takes to win, to conquer, and to live your best life. We start clocking out now. Any final thoughts you have, honey?
No, that is good.
That is
Love
us.
it. Hey, you know what? For
back.
Doing Life with Sam and Kiri, Please, we want to hear from you guys. What do you want us to talk about? What are some things you want us to discuss more of? What do you want to hear more of? And we definitely...
We need to hear from them, right?
Yes, we do need to hear from you. When we ask you guys to ask us some questions, we don't want to hear this. We want to hear you guys interacting,
That's right.
getting in there, throwing up to us what you guys want to hear, and we look forward to that. But hey, we've got this awesome setup now, so you're going to start to see this also be transferred into a podcast version, so you can listen to it in the car, listen to it on the go, and go back to some of these series that you may miss live anyway. But that is us, honey?
It's us. And I just want to thank Maddie, who's sitting here with us in the room, having a little chuckle when he looks over and helps us set up, and now to Dan today as well.
Yes.
But Maddie has been amazing with helping us do this, to get word out of any seed of blessing
Give
or
Maddie
help.
a hand.
That can, how do I do that?
Yay!
Hey, Maddie is the
Maddie,
man.
Maddie.
Give it up for him. So that's us. But other than that, God bless you. Have a wonderful afternoon, and we will see you on Sunday as we go live on this very page as well.
Bless you
Bless ya.
guys.